Okay. So, we will now look at the exit and the wait system call, right. So, recollect that the wait system call in this example essentially is called by the parent process, and it puts the parent process in the sleeping state, essentially in the block state, and the parent would uh, continue to remain in this particular sleeping state until the child process exits, right. So, the exit system call, which is invoked in this example in the child process, essentially would terminate this particular process, right. So, we will first look into the exit implementation and then the wait implementation, right. So, so the internals of exit, right. So, every process except the init process would exit with the exit system call, right. And when a process exits, it would essentially do all of these things, right. It would decrement the usage of all open files. If the usage count is 0, then it would close the file. It would drop references to in-memory inodes. So essentially, what it's doing here is that recollect that for every file open there is a counter which counts the number of processes which are accessing the file. Now, if a particular process exits, then that counter is essentially decremented, right, and the file is closed if there are no processes which are accessing the file. Okay. So, exit would essentially then invoke wake up the parent. So, here it is assumed that the parent is essentially sleeping because it has invoked the wait system call. So, the parent is essentially blocked, and it in the exit it would wake up the parent, so that now the parent moves from the sleeping state into the runnable state. Okay. Third, so if this particular process has its own children, right, in other words, if it has actually forked and created its own children, then the exit system call would force the init process to adopt to adopt the children of the exited process, right. So, if a process exits, then all of its children would be adopted by the init process, right. Fourth, the state of the process is set to a zombie state. So, what this means is that the process has exited, it's no longer can execute in the CPU, but the internal data structure, its data and code and so on is not reaped, right. The state of the process is essentially zombie. Right? So, another aspect to note over here is that because the exited process is in the zombie state, the page directory, the kernel stack, and the other data structures corresponding to the particular process is not deallocated by the kernel during the exit system call. Okay. The last thing is that since the system call is exiting, so we would need to force a context switch, right. So, the exit would not return because there is no way to return because the process has exited, and therefore, we would need to invoke the scheduler so that another process can actually execute. Okay. So, now let us look at the code. The exit function which gets invoked when the system call exit is invoked is essentially over here. So, exit essentially takes a status, right, and this permits the exiting process to exit with some value, say for instance exit of -1. So, this -1 in this example is the return status, is essentially the exit status for the particular process, right. So, what do we essentially do? So, in this particular line, what we essentially do is identify if this exit due to whatever reason is being invoked by the init process or the init proc. Okay. Now we know that the init process cannot terminate because it has the huge responsibility to adopt every child process and therefore should always be alive. And therefore, if it happens to be the init process, then we essentially say that there is a problem. This cannot happen. The init process cannot essentially terminate, and therefore we do not continue any further. Right now, this particular for loop handles the files. Right. So in the proc structure for this particular process, we have the an array of all the files which are opened, and this for loop would essentially force the closing of the file. Right. Similarly, over here, it would decrement. This part of code is also concerning the file operations, and it would essentially decrement the inode usage, right? Essentially telling that these files are that one of the processes that is accessing these files or these inodes is essentially reduced because this process is exiting. Okay. Now here, wake up one init proc. So these lines over here essentially wake up the parent of the child, right? So this is based on some synchronization primitives, and the internals of this we will see later in the course. But for now, what we need to understand is that with these statements, a signal is essentially a wake up is essentially sent to the parent process, and thereby permitting it to move from the sleeping state to the runnable state. Okay. Now there is a function called reparent. Essentially, it means that if the exiting process has any children, then the init process is going to be the new parent for all of these children. Okay. Here we are waking up the original parent, and this part is where we are essentially setting the state to essentially to that of a zombie state. Right now, another important thing over here is the X status. Right, we have never talked about this entry in the proc structure before. The X status essentially is the exit status for this particular process. Okay, and it is set to status. Right, status is the first parameters into exit. So in our example, for example, over here, if exit we invoke exit -1 from our user program, then X status is set to -1. Okay. Finally, at this point, we invoke the scheduler to force the context switch so that another process can execute. Okay. So again, to highlight over here, we observe that the important parameters such as the proc structure, the kernel stack, the trap frame, and the page tables are not deallocated. Okay, so these critical data structures are essentially deallocated during the wait system call, right? So the wait system call is what we are going to see now. Essentially, the wait would just to recollect again, the wait would block the parent or force the parent to a sleeping state until the child process wakes up, right? So the flowchart for the wait system call looks like this. So the parent process invokes the wait system call, and the implementation of wait essentially scans every process in the proc table, trying to identify if that particular proc entry is a child, right? how does this parent process know that a proc entry is a child? By essentially the entry called parent, right? Recollect that when we looked into when we seen the proc entry, the proc structure, we had this field called parent, right? So, looking into the proc structure and comparing it with its own proc address or proc entry, it is possible for the parent process to identify one of its child processes. Now, if it has identified a child process, it would next identify if this child process is a zombie, right? A child process that is a zombie essentially means that the process has terminated and is essentially waiting to be reaped. Okay, so so if the child process is a zombie, then the wait system call would essentially deallocate uh, various things like the kernel stack, the page directory, and page tables that are used, and so on, and set the state of this child process to be able to be unused. Okay, the wait system call would essentially return the PID of uh, of P, which is essentially the PID of the child process. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So this scanning across all the processes that are available is done uh, every time the uh, the wait yeah, so this scanning across all the processes in the proc structures is done every time the parent process essentially wakes up, right? So in other words, this part, right, is only done once every time the parent process wakes up. Okay, so recollect, so we'll see the code to essentially make more sense. Yeah, so let's go into the details of the wait system call, right? So this particular function wait essentially is invoked when the parent process invokes the wait system call, and what it does is that it at a very high level, it essentially has this for loop, infinite for loop, which terminates over here, right? Now within this particular for loop, it identifies if any of its children have exited, right? So that is done where I think here, right? So so this inner for loop essentially identifies if any of the children have exited, right? The way it essentially does this is by traversing through the proc array or the proc table, and identifies if it of this process is the parent of um, anything, any other process, and if that process NP is in the zombie state. So this if state essentially identifies if NP, which is a proc entry in this array, is equal to P, which is essentially P is the parent of NP, and NP is essentially in the zombie state. Once this is identified, then within this particular if statement, if region, it essentially frees the process, right? So free proc over here essentially is used to deallocate the page directory, the kernel stack, and all of the other data structures corresponding to the child process which is in the zombie state, right? So the free proc looks something like this, right? So it frees the trap frame, it frees the page tables corresponding to the child, and it sets a lot of other things in the proc to be essentially a 0. Also importantly, it sets the state for that proc entry to be set to unused. Okay. Now, prior to this free proc, one important aspect is this copy out, which essentially looks into the NP proc structure, takes the X state value, and essentially uses this as the return from the weight, right? So, for instance, if my child has exited with -1, then X state would be set, X state in NP would be equal to -1, and this exit status is what is essentially returned back from the wait system call, right? Another important thing is the following, right? So, if we traverse through all the NP structures of all the proc entries, and we do not find any child process which is alive and which is essentially exited and which is in the zombie state, and a child of this particular process, then this process is essentially put in the sleep. Okay, how do we essentially identify whether we have found a child process in zombie or not? Is with the help of this have kids. So it is essentially set to 0 over here, and then if we have identified um, uh, identified a child process, then it is set to 1 at this particular point. Now, if we do not have if the process does not have any children, then there's nothing to be done. But if there are no children, there's no point waiting for this particular in this particular thing in this particular function, and therefore we return -1. On the other hand, if there are children, and it is not in a zombie and the child is not in the zombie state, then the process will essentially sleep, right? So sleeping would essentially mean that the process goes into a block state. It's in the sleeping, it cannot essentially execute anymore, and essentially it is waiting on this particular lock, right? Now, when the child process exits, then the lock, this parent process wakes up, and the waking up is essentially done by unlocking this sleep. Essentially, the sleep would terminate and continue execution from here, go back to this for loop, and then traverse the proc table once more, trying to identify the child process which has essentially terminated and gone to a zombie state.